If you are my boss and you want me to be skinnier, and that is in the parameters of what we do here in my contract because it is on TV, then come to me and say it to me to my face. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. You might have noticed that LA Storytime is now canceled plans. I think that's just a little bit more accurate as to what we're doing here now that we are this ninth episode in. I find that instead of just telling cutesy Hollywood stories, these stories really end up being about my trials, tribulations, misfalls, mistakes, and how I've gotten back up again or not. I guess that is to be determined and is really something that is on my mind this week anyway, because I really honestly think that I am this evolved person who has made all these strides in life, right? Especially now that I'm out of Los Angeles, I think, nothing can really touch me and I'm not affected by the industry standards of the way that I should look or, what my podcast should look like, how many listeners I should have. But I got a little bothered this week. I have to say, in the midst of doing all this redoing, graphics, and I made this cute little trailer that kind of tells people what the show is all about. That kind of spiked a little soul searching. And I've thought about some of the things that I've shared here, which have been difficult to share and have been pretty intimate. And there's a couple of things that have gone down in my past that affected me quite a bit that I know kind of pop up for me every single day. I think I'm good. And then this week I spent like the entire week thinking about how I'm going to look in this outfit when I sit down and film, and spent yesterday worrying over what should I eat so that I'm not bloated today and whatever else and the whole thing and this stuff. And oh, you guys, it's exhausting. It really is, right? I also listened to Lauren Bostic's podcast, and I heard her say a couple weeks ago, once she moved out of LA, they live, I think, in Texas now. All of the standards of beauty that people associate with Los Angeles kind of stopped affecting you quite as much. She talked about having her explant surgery after leaving LA, doing less injections. And I know myself in the last couple of years, since I am in Vegas now, which I guess some people would think is not too far of a cry from Los Angeles. But now that I am sort of removed from LA and more so from going to auditions and trying to work in television, there's a little bit less focus on that every single day. And I find less and less desire to do things like glue plastic to my fingernails or my eyelashes or, clip fake hair in, dye my skin orange, those kinds of things that I have really enjoyed doing in the past and that have brought me a lot of confidence and things that I don't judge anyone else for doing. But that in the last couple of years, I have just kind of stopped prioritizing those things and really, with that, noticed that my natural nails and eyelashes and hair and all that stuff grew and look great. But then I spend the whole week worrying about what I'm eating and how many times I'm going to Pilates and all of that sort of thing. So these ideas are really deeply ingrained in our minds. I know that other people struggle with this. I think everyone struggles, maybe women a lot more so than men, with not just their appearance, but how much upkeep do we need to do? How much money do we need to spend? How much are we affected by social media and a lot of influencers revealing everything they've had done and the Botox? And we're always following reality stars to the doctor's office, right? I am so into the secret lives of Mormon wives. You guys, that's what I've spent the rest of my time doing this week when I wasn't obsessing over the way that I look, was watching this new show. And they're quite young and they're always going into it is very visible. Right. I also always refer to growing up in the 90s as growing up in the scary skinny era. So, and that wasn't just the 90s, but that went into the early 2000s. There is a photograph of Lindsay Lohan and Nicole Richie that is just ingrained in my mind. I believe it was the cover of In Touch Weekly. And it was some headline with both down to 80 pounds or just something like that. And the photos are obviously doctored to make them look, skeletal and very pale. And that was just a photo that ran everywhere. People were talking about Nicole Richie and Lindsay Lohan's weight at this time. And it's just something that is just burned in my mind of like the way that you should look. That's how you get attention. That's how you build a career in Hollywood, by getting that attention, right? And however old you are, whatever era you grew up in, I know that these pressures are imminent. And especially, saying growing up in the scary skinny era, I'm talking about the women that I saw on TV. There was a very disturbing episode of Home Improvement that my husband and I watched the other day. That just kind of highlighted what the ideal was for women back then, and how it was just a thing that every woman thought their butt was too big, and every man wanted their woman's butt to be smaller. Which, hello, do we not know now? Have men not told us now that that's not ever what they wanted? So why they were putting that on us in the world of pop culture, I don't know. I do blame them. We can talk more about that, and we will, because that's where I'm going with all of this, is my personal experience. Hey, this is just a quick break. I wanted to share something with you that brings me so much joy. Every single day when I walk into my home office here, my studio where I film, there are these beautiful rainbows splashed all over the walls, the furniture, the floor, everywhere. And it makes me so happy to walk in and get to work every single day. I got these prisms on Amazon for less than 15 bucks and hung them in every single window here in my office. They just light up the entire room every single day. It is so much fun, and I will share anything that makes me happier or makes my life easier right here with you. You can find it all on my Amazon storefront. The link is in the description of this episode. So I hope you find that and more. Happy shopping. When I moved to Los Angeles and started getting into the entertainment industry, it got even more weighty. I would say. I think that's a great word for the expectations that were put on women at this time. It was just heavy. I worked at Entertainment, as you all know. Go back and listen to a couple of the first episodes about all the fun and drama that was going down there. This was in the time of Juliana Rancic, Debbie Matenopoulos, Kat Sadler. I wanted to be any one of them, including looking just like them. And we really knew from the movie, you guys remember Knocked Up? There was a scene in that movie where the woman works at a couple scenes actually, and they are really focused on her weight. And, they're finding all these cutesy ways to tell her, like, no, you gotta tighten up. Like, think about how much you weigh and weigh 10 pounds less than that. And that was very much not singling out that is a fictional story, but that is just very much the tone of entertainment news at that time for the hosts, was just be as small as possible. You can see it on TV. You can see that that was the expectation. So when people talk about Los Angeles affecting or living there, making them think that they needed a lot of Botox or lip injections or those kinds of things, I really think it isn't just Los Angeles. It's because Los Angeles is the entertainment capital of the world. And I know this because I made my way out of Los Angeles, not just now in the last few years, moving to Las Vegas, but I spent 1 year of my LA career in Orlando. Actually, I moved there for a job in 2017, and this was for a job in entertainment for a streaming service and a company that did live events in front of crowds and stuff. So I was going to be hosting in front of thousands of people, and I was also going to be on TV essentially for this job. All of those body image issues, all of the expectations about weight, nips and tucks you can do to your face, all of that stuff just followed me right to Orlando. And most of that is because the company that I was working at had those expectations even heavier than in the entertainment news industry in LA. Working alongside women wrestlers, standing next to them on screen is quite daunting. These are some of the most physically fit, most beautiful women in the world who have the absolute best, most talented, on point glam team in the entire world. Okay, WWE Glam Squad is internationally, hands down, best glam squad in the world. Go and check them out. You will agree with me. So the idea of having to hold my microphone and stand next to these women long enough to ask them a question, and that would be my big moment on the air, was a little bit terrifying. And I had interviewed a lot of these women on the red carpet in LA, and that was really how I got into being interested in professional wrestling, was from meeting them and being like, wow, they don't just look like goddesses. They are talented and intelligent. A lot of them are running their own businesses, really just super women. How am I going to go and hold my own and look decent next to them? Well, I had the help of the glam squad, but I ran into a couple hurdles in my just about less than a year there. I had a 1 year contract, and on the day that expired, I was on a plane, one-way trip back to Los Angeles, my home, my favorite city in the entire world. So even though I was outside of LA, all of those same expectations, body issues, all of that stuff followed me right to Orlando. Those expectations were perhaps the most intense I had ever dealt with at this job, at this company. And I could feel it immediately from the other women, what they talked about, the way that they looked, what they were doing to look different. And they were all open about it. It was obvious there that the expectations were you do whatever you need to do to look as good as you can. And that is how you get airtime. The idea that women are just sort of a decoration in professional wrestling is one that they pretended went away a few years ago. There was what they called the women's evolution, Total Divas, and the Bella Twins, and those women opening up their lives really got people interested in the women, got people to recognize what powerhouses they were, how good their wrestling had become in the women's division, and all of that stuff. And for a few years, that was the new trendy thing. It was sort of exploiting that. The wrestling world really pretended like they cared about women and empowering women for a few years. And that has all gone by the wayside. If you read any news, the lawsuits and what has gone on there in the last couple of years. And I think that idea that the women have evolved in professional wrestling, or that we've allowed them to evolve in professional wrestling, is really just a joke now. That pressure that it's all about the way that you look was so intense that I, not even being a wrestler, someone who had to climb in the ring in booty shorts and a sports bra, I felt it too. So I asked around a little bit, and I decided that I was going to get under eye filler. Now when I look back at the photos, I can't even tell like when I got it, when I had it, when I didn't have it in photos. So it's not like this was something that really bothered me. It's not like I looked in the mirror every day and went, oh, my under eyes are so hollow. I just wanted to do a thing that I thought would make me look hotter. And I asked hot people what they would suggest. And so that was the thing that I was going to go do. It sounds so silly now. So I hope that this is understandable. But my career was the most important thing to me. And I finally had this opportunity, this dream job, and I was going to do whatever it took to succeed in it as much as I could. So I asked around and got a suggestion of someone to go to. I'm not here to out anyone. A big part of this and an epiphany that I have is that it's not my place to judge what another the decisions that another woman has made for the way that she looks, whether those decisions include a lot of unnatural things or natural things, procedures, injections, whatever it is absolutely not my place to judge, because I don't know who has influenced them, how they've been influenced. The expectations of society, how we all deal with that is our own business and is based on our own experiences and is nothing that we should be judging each other about. The degree to which the other people that I worked with wanted to engage in this kind of stuff too, that was not up to me to judge. It certainly wasn't up to the executives, the men in suits to judge either, as they were. So, in noticing all of that and seeing that people were succumbing to expectations, getting lip injections because they thought that it would make them more successful in their careers that they were educated for, that they worked at, 12 hours a day, that they gave their bodies and their health for. If they felt that they had to go get lip injections to be the full package, that is not my place to judge. It's really hard, right? Sometimes we look at people and we go, why? Why would you do all that? Well, that's what you should be asking yourself. Maybe not why would they do that, but why not? Why not? When women have been told that, our butts were too big for 50 years and now they've been too small for 10 years, and our lips could be bigger and bigger and bigger, 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 like a video game. There's just so much pressure. And I know for myself, I have made the choice that I just want to support other people, and specifically other women in the entertainment industry who feel these pressures, because I've been through this and I was kind of nervous, but also very excited. I went in, paid, my several $100s and got told that will buy you, one syringe of whatever it was. No, I shouldn't say it because I don't know. I'm not sure, but this much money will buy you a syringe of this stuff. I'm kind of shocked now when I think about how few questions I asked, how much I didn't know, what I didn't know, and I didn't even care. I should have asked, how much are you putting in? Why did you choose this kind of filler? Just off the top of my head, hello, I'm the research girl. That's what I do. How did I not ask more questions? But I was just ready to go in and get this over with so that I could be like everyone else and get on TV. What ended up happening, I didn't think about this at the time or know about it, but this nurse must have injected an entire syringe worth of whatever it was under my eyes, between my two eyes. I know now that that is a lot of filler, and that oftentimes when people go in for this kind of procedure, they have some filler left over. Wish I would have known that at the time. So I thought I looked great for a couple months, I guess. When I went home and looked in the mirror, I was very happy with the results, but also there was so much going on at that time, and I was so unhappy with myself and my career, and I was being made to feel so small just because every day it was like, remember, it's not about you. It's about the wrestlers. It's about the story we're telling. It's about us. It's about us. It's not about you. So I don't know that any procedure or anything could have made me feel better about myself or the way that I looked at this time, because again, it just so was not about that. But I was happy with the results until several months later. It must have been maybe 6 months or so later, when I was back in Los Angeles, I was starting to see just weirdness. I don't know. Again, I'm so traumatized by these things. I'm so hyper focused on the way that I look that I probably changed my mind about what I thought about it every other day. Was I really noticing it? I don't know. I don't have a lot of memories of the fallout, what happened after this. But once I got back to Los Angeles and looked in the mirror, I thought, something doesn't look right. So I did my research, and I actually ended up going in LA back to a place that I had filmed at one time for my YouTube channel. Just a place that I knew and felt comfortable going to, and also a place that requires all their injector people to be nurse practitioners. Again, I'm not sure who or what was going on in Orlando. But when I went into, I'll name drop them, Blue Medi Spa in Sherman Oaks, California, I was, to my shock, as I expected to go in and be told that I would need more filler to keep this up and under my eyes, I was actually told, "Ooh, girl, you need to have this dissolved." Dissolved. This was before that was a thing. I think a lot more people are doing that now, especially in their lips and starting over, or under the eyes as well. But dissolving your filler was not a thing yet. In this would have been like 2018. I hadn't heard of it, at least, and I was like, "What? That stuff I paid all that money for? You want it to do? It needs to go away? I don't just need more of it?" No, so it was creating pockets or something. She had a very medical explanation that made a lot of sense and that I could see. When once they explained it, I could tell what was going on. So that day, instead of getting more, God, thank God, I ended up at the right place with a woman who cared, and who could have just said, "Yeah, you know what? Let's throw. We need two syringes this time." Thank God that I was in the right place at the right time with the right person, and they injected me that day with the dissolvent. The stuff immediately went away, and I looked and felt so much better in seconds. I remember, one of my friends was there with me too, and it's just like you pull the mirror up to your face and go, "Wow, what a difference." So that was such a shock to me, and that kind of, I was happy to be looking what I thought was normal again, but it really kind of messed me up. I was angry with myself. How could I go to someone that would do this to me? How did I not do better research? How could I let myself be influenced by the expectations of some men in freaking suits, of male viewers, or of what I'm being told that those people want to see? I felt so weak. I couldn't believe that I had just really succumbed to that pressure. But now when I'm telling the story back and thinking about it, and when I just spent a lot of time explaining to you guys how intense that pressure was, I can forgive myself a little bit. This was a mistake. This was a lesson learned. And I have not touched filler ever since, despite the few people that tell me I need it, here and here. I have a very expressive face. So if you are watching on YouTube or Spotify video podcasts, you may have realized that my forehead looks a little different from people my age who do engage in injections and those sorts of things. But that's okay with me. I live very clean, very healthy. I'm, fragrance free. I've been vegan for a long time. We try to keep chemicals and toxins out of our house. And at this point in my life, I don't see anything that bothers me enough to take that chance again. I, and I want to be really, really clear. I say that with zero judgment. Once again, I just want to support other women who are just as susceptible as I am to social media and photos and what society thinks we should all look like. And I just want us to all support each other and be empathetic. So me saying like, I'm not doing that right now. I'm just not doing it right now. I'm 38 years old. I'll be 39 in a couple months. And I expect to change my mind about it. But right now, I'm good. Lesson learned. And it wasn't just looking in the mirror and looking at my face, even though I thought, oh, I learned this lesson about succumbing to other people's expectations. It's still something that I struggle with every single day. And so turning to food was something that I did back at this time when I was in Orlando and I was working at this job where I felt so insignificant and so small and just worthless. My self-worth took such a hit at this time. And there was an incident that did not help. Towards the end of my tenure, there was a hurricane. We were off of work for a couple of weeks. Now, this is a physical job for a lot of people. I was going into a gym every day, even though I wasn't working out and I wasn't training. There's still focus on fitness every single day. But so for a couple of weeks, there was a hurricane and everybody was just stuck at home. I was not going to the gym or doing anything but sitting around and eating. It was finally some time off. This job also came with a crazy schedule where I wasn't home a lot. And so to just sit on the couch and eat for a couple weeks and not worry about being on camera seemed like a godsend until they couldn't go any longer and we needed a new episode of NXT, the show that I was a backstage interviewer on. And so they sort of makeshift put one together at our gym, at our office, instead of and in the studio where we usually filmed. So I kind of get a call one day, hey, tomorrow we're making an episode. You need to be on screen for 4 episodes, 4 outfits, looking good, babe. Okay, super duper. So I kind of remember thinking at this time, like, oh boy, it's been a couple of weeks. I just been sitting home and doing not a whole lot. Well, I'll just wear, high-waisted leggings. It'll be fine. However, it was not fine. I got the opportunity to do kind of my biggest moment at this time, at this taping, right in the midst of the hurricane. I was going to get an opportunity to do an interview that was a little bit more extemporaneous. I was going to get a chance to shine a little bit more than just being the nameless backstage interviewer that no one's supposed to pay attention to. But this was a terrible time to get that opportunity because I was not looking my best, and I knew it. Couple weeks later, when this stuff aired, I was very upset with myself for letting it get to that point. I was just sort of bracing myself for the audience reaction. And I did. I got the tweets, is Christy pregnant? And all the stuff. And that's kind of what I was concerned with. How I didn't see what happened coming. I mean, when I just told you what the expectations were about the way everyone looks, and when you're standing next to professional athletes, people are going to notice that you look different, right? And they did. I was so horrified when one day I'm sitting in my chair at this huge desk. Everybody just sat at one huge desk. And my coworker sits down next to me and is like, I gotta talk to you about something. I don't have a lot of recollection of this conversation. I think probably because I was just so gobsmacked and so horrified at having to have the conversation more than what it was about. It was one of my female coworkers who I had a good relationship with. She had helped me. She'd been there longer than I and had helped me with kind of a lot of stuff, navigating things through my time there. And I guess she was the one who was chosen to pass this message along to me. And the message was that I should dress differently or learn how to dress for my body type, or learn how to dress for when you're sitting down, i.e., when there's this kind of thing going on. I'll just put the picture up so you can see what everybody was talking. Apparently, everybody was talking about, right? The idea that your bosses are talking to each other about you, and your boss's bosses are telling your boss to figure out how to tell you, and that boss has to think about going and having this conversation. So then my boss had to have a conversation with my coworker, and then she had to go, "Oh, really? I got to go tell this girl that she's gained weight and she looks like and she needs to lose weight. And in the meantime, she better dress different so that we can't tell that she's gained weight." Like, I, I can't imagine how gross this was for her as well. That's what bothers me so much about this. Like, if you are my boss and you want me to be skinnier, and that is in the parameters of what we do here in my contract because it is on TV, then have the balls to come to me and say it to me to my face. Maybe they thought, "Oh, we're being gentle. Oh, we'll have another woman tell her," because then it's like the women are putting these expectations on each other, and that's really what they wanted us all to think. And the way that everyone was pitted against each other. So that's part of this as well. But I just can't imagine having to think, "Oh, I have to go tell my coworker that she's gained weight and everyone noticed." Huh. And it wasn't easy to hear either, of course. So I went home that day and started thinking about eating differently. I remember switching from whatever frozen stuff I was eating to like these kale salads that I would make in a rice cooker with lentils. And it was gross and smelly. And it didn't taste that bad. But I also started going to the gym every single morning. I kind of took that as a cue to go into work a half an hour later. I'm like, fine, fine. You guys want me to tighten up? That's what I'll be doing. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I guess it's part of my job. Since you guys are expecting me to do it, you can pay me for my time to go to the gym. And I did, and I lost a lot of weight really quick. A fairly athletic person, and I do enjoy working out. So I got to it, and I looked a lot better in just a couple of weeks. That along with my under eye injections, I thought I was looking pretty good by the end of my career there. So that was not the reason why my career ended. Just to be clear, had nothing to do with weight gain or anything like that. And that was kind of a small blip on the radar, probably to people there whose job it was to watch me and judge my performance. But to me, it was a huge thing. And, I just couldn't imagine that after years and years of trying to be skinny, 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 skinnier, skinny, 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 and to be skinny to go on camera. And, oh, I can't go on camera right now. I have to lose 5 more pounds. And just for obsessing over that so much for so many years, to have let it go in 2 weeks and crash and burn like that was traumatic. It really was. And I think it's something that really stayed with me for quite a while after I left there. I think, I mentioned at the top of this episode someone who Lauren Bostic, who said she left LA and then really stopped having those same, LA beauty standards for herself. When I went back to LA, all that it was still existent in my mind. Again, I think it's the entertainment industry. It's not Los Angeles. So I was there anyway. And then having been told, you better not gain weight and lose what you gained really affected me. So I've lived like that for a lot of years, just being hyper focused on the way that I look. I like to think, like I said at the beginning, that I've gotten better in the last couple years, but I don't know that that has so much to do with getting out of LA as it does with getting out of the entertainment industry. Not that I'm out, but I have really changed my focus from, getting that big TV job so that it's not in my head that I need to look like people who are on TV anymore. That has helped a lot. And again, making that realization that I had these weird rules. But I kind of started to explore that in the last couple years thanks to listening to other podcasts where women have talked about kind of shedding these expectations and minimizing the intrusive thoughts about it. I love the phrase intrusive thoughts because I think it just so accurately pinpoints how we feel, right? You can't help the thoughts and you don't know where they come from or what they're about. And it also tells us how much worth those thoughts should have, right? They're just intrusive thoughts. They're not true thoughts. They're not good thoughts. They're just intrusive. So just let them intrude and then push them back out and send them on their way. That's what I try to do, despite past experiences we've had that make it very difficult to do that. The biggest message here, and what I really learned now looking back this long later, is how I'm do not need to judge myself because I know darn well why I did all of that, even though I was angry with myself after it all went down. Not judging myself and not judging other women either, because I don't know their reasons for presenting themselves in the way that they do. And I have trust and faith in them that they've got good reasons. And if they don't, I just want to support them in figuring that out and moving all of us moving forward together, happily, healthy, and feeling hot. Right? That's all we want. Oh, see, that's what I think at the end of the day. That's what I think. All I want and all everyone wants is to feel hot. So it'll always be there, I guess. A little messed up, but it's cool. It's fine. I can sit here and chat with you all about it. And then we come full circle as I look back on the episodes we've done and how this sort of just feels like me sitting down on a therapist couch every week with all of you here to listen. I think a podcast about pivoting in Los Angeles ended up really being a good description of what we're doing here. And there are a lot of people who have had experiences that are similar to mine or who are wildly different that I want to talk to, from reality stars to other women who are in hosting and entertainment news, who I think that you guys would really benefit from hearing some of their experiences as well. So I think we're probably going to start welcoming guests here on Canceled Plans. And if you guys have anyone that you specifically want to see me sit down and chat with, please reach out to me and let me know. I have a big list that I'm really excited about. So I hope to see you all here soon. We are on Spotify video podcasts now. If you're watching over there, or you can listen there too, Apple Podcasts and YouTube as well. Make sure that you subscribe or follow so that you don't miss any upcoming new episodes of the show. We drop on Wednesdays, and I am so glad that you have joined me here. So thank you so very much for watching. Hit me up anytime at Christy Reports, and I will talk to you very soon. Have a good week.